Well, our sermon today is titled, We Wait, We Hope, We Stay. We wait, we hope, we stay. And I think, again, especially right now in the times we're living in, it's very appropriate, isn't it, to think about those three phrases. We wait, we're waiting, right? I already mentioned how Christians over the centuries have waited for the Christ's coming, for the Messiah to come again. Right? We wait. We wait for the vaccines to get distributed. We wait for the test results if we do get something. We wait to hear, did we get this job or did we not? We wait so often for things, and very often things that are so very important to us, to our lives, to the lives of our loved ones. We wait. And again, we don't just wait with I hope at least, with dread, but I pray that we wait with hope, that we feel hopeful, that we feel hopeful because we believe in God, and we trust in God. And as we talked, if you haven't had a chance, if you'd like to watch the children's moment the video, it's on our YouTube channel under Kids Connection on that playlist. But I talked about how that the kids, that sometimes there's good things and sometimes there's bad things, right? That's good. No, that's bad because of this. Oh, that's bad. No, that's good, right? So we know that there's always those things in life, those ups and downs, those hills and valleys, the circle of life, right? To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. But we wait and we hope. And I'll often mention it, that we, at funerals, we wait, but not as people without hope. Because we know that, again, God is with us, beside us, every step of the way. Every step of the way. And then the last part there, we wait, we hope, we stay. We stay. We don't just give up. We don't just run away. Hopefully, we don't just bury ourselves, in Downton Abbey and just watch, binge watch Netflix. Although, again, nothing wrong with that. If you need to take some time, absolutely. That's okay. We have to do what we need to do. And I can think of worse things for yourself than to binge watch Downton Abbey, right? But at the same time, we stay. And we trust God, and we say, I'm gonna continue to be your hands and feet, Lord. I'm gonna continue to do the work that you have set out for us. I'm not going anywhere, God. You don't go anywhere. You're not leaving me. I'm not leaving you. We wait, we hope, we stay. Romans 12:12 says, rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. And that's really the same, right? If you look at that title there, we wait, right? We hope, rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation. And then what's the last there? We stay. And Romans says, be constant in prayer. Do you see how those correlate together? Be constant in prayer. So stay with the Lord through prayer. Lamentations 3:25-26 says, the Lord is good to those whose hope is in him, to the one who seeks him. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. To wait quietly. And I think that's a key thing too, right? To not let all the noise of the world distract us. To not be so busy, just shouting, right? Shouting our opinion, shouting how mad we are, shouting out our frustrations. And again, there certainly is a time to be able to acknowledge those things, but also to sit, to rest in the Lord, to wait patiently for him. That's so important. We wait, we hope, we stay. But sometimes we're not able to do those three things. Maybe we're not able to do two. Maybe we're not even able to do one of those things. And some of that is because of the way that we're approaching life. So I'm going to show you two words in a minute here. And I want you, if you would please, to read them in your head and then read them out loud and just reflect upon their meaning. Okay, are you ready? Read these aloud or to yourself. Now notice in your mind, and as you said them, Was there a particular emphasis on one of those two words? And was it a positive or negative connotation when you see this? And again, feel free to just type this in the chat right now. Just put a plus for yes, this was positive, or when I read this, it's more of a negative. I get more anxious feelings, or do I get more positive, joyful feelings? So take a second and do that in the chat if you'd like right now, or just notice it in yourself. Now, let's look at another slide and do the same thing with this phrase. Say it out loud, and notice what kind of feelings that are conjured up. And again, feel free to share that in the chat. So I think probably you figured out what I'm looking for. As you look at these two words, there's several different ways, right, that you could say this. But maybe when you first read it, you went, now what? Now what? What else could possibly happen to me or to the world? Now what? What do I have to deal with next? Or was it, now what? Now what? Like, okay, I did this. You helped me make it through this other thing. All right, Lord, what else do we have? What else do I have to deal with here? Because I'm ready. Now what? Now what do I get to do? I'm a big fan of Martin Sheen and the West Wing. And he has staff meetings, and during his staff meetings, of course, obviously it's not the real president, right? It's President Bartlett from the TV show. But all of a sudden, he'll say, okay, we did that, and then he'll say, what's next? Think about these words again, just for a second. What's next? Is that how you're feeling these? What's next? What next do I have to deal with? What's the next bus that's just going to knock me down? What's next? Or is your inner voice saying, what's next? What's next? What's the next thing that I get to do? What's the next thing that's going to be the opportunity that I get to serve you? Do you see the difference? It's not just a change of attitude, but it's trust and faith in God to wait and to hope and to stay. What's next? And again, I really hope that you kind of think about that. And maybe even jot those two words down and maybe even just read those every once in a while. Now what? Now what? Now what did you do? Now what? Or now what? Or what now? All right. What now? What do I get to do next? What other challenge am I going to have in my life, Lord, that you're going to walk right beside me and I'm going to get through? What now? It's a question of trust. It's a question of being able to walk in faith, walk in trust. And again, what a change that makes, though, that flipping that switch of, oh, it's going to be a negative right away. And we all know people, right, that do that. Maybe you do that. Maybe I do that. We all do it sometimes, right? That immediately something happens and we immediately go a certain way of, oh, this is terrible. Or, oh, all right, this is an opportunity. And again, it's not like maybe your parents did that, so you're kind of used to it, maybe, but I'm not sure that it's something that's hardwired. I think that's something that we can work towards, of instead of finding the negative right away, that we can work more towards being able to find the positives. And again, we talked about it last week too, resiliency, to become people who are more resilient in life. And again, what a huge difference that would help, that would make for all of us. But I found an old, it's 2004, email from my cousin Ed, who's now gone, unfortunately, but just a fun guy, colonel in the National Guard. And so, Carol, if you're watching, shout out to you, my cousin Carol down in Columbus. But Ed used to send me these pretty often. And these different, I wasn't even a pastor then, but he would just send these different readings. So maybe you've read this before, but I really like it. It's called Big Mud Puddles and Sunny Yellow Dandelions. And again, just another way of, again, showing how we can shift our perspective or our thinking. And so this author, unknown, is sharing about what it is, how we as adults often view things, and then how our kids view things sometimes. When I look at a patch of dandelions, I see a bunch of weeds that are going to take over my yard. My kids see flowers for mom and blowing white fluff you can wish on. When I hear music I love, I know I can't carry a tune and don't have much rhythm, so I sit self-consciously and listen. My kids feel the beat and move to it. They sing out the words. If they don't know them, they make up their own. When I feel wind on my face, I brace myself against it. I feel it messing up my hair and pulling me back when I walk. My kids close their eyes, spread their arms out, and fly with it until they fall to the ground laughing. When I pray, I say thee and thou and grant me this and give me that. My kids say, hi, God. Thanks for my toys and my friends. What a fun day I had. I love you, God. When I see a mud puddle, I step around it. I see muddy shoes and dirty carpets. My kids sit in it. They see dams to build, rivers to cross, and worms to play with. I wonder if we are given kids to teach or to learn from. No wonder God loves the little children. Enjoy the little things in life, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things. I wish you big mud puddles and sunny yellow dandelions. And then there's a quote here, which I'm sure you've heard before, but life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. I found another reading that I'd like to share. I'm sharing a couple of those this week, several. It's by Renee Rodetter, and it's called Look. And she begins with Jeremiah 31, 3-4. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, I have continued my faithfulness to you. Again, I will build you, and you shall be built. Again, you shall take your tambourines and go forth in the dance of the merrymakers. Again, kind of an echo from our earlier psalm. Look, Mom, Grandma, look. This is the phrase I hear so many times when I am at the grocery store. There was a young girl, maybe 8 or so. She kept requesting her grandma's attention. She kept accidentally calling her mom and then correcting herself because she was so excited. Mom, Grandma, look. Then Grandma would look, and she did so with affection every single time. And that's when the little girl would break into song. I wonder what sort of personal connection they had to this song. It was known to just about everyone in the store, it seemed, but it seemed to have a particular meaning to them. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Mom, Grandma, look. The girl opens the ice cream freezer. Oh, when the saints go marching in, and they laugh. Mom, Grandma, look. The girl picks up a grocery bag and starts marching around. Oh, when the saints, and Grandma sings too. Grandma, look, and she turns around in place. People watch them interact, but the girl mostly just notices her grandma noticing her. Over and over again, she is expressing a need to be seen, which we all have, a need to be seen and perceived and known. And Grandma is seeing, perceiving, and knowing with affection. This is such a profound human need. Certainly, we don't all shout, look, and break into song in the grocery store. But I don't think we ever outgrow the need to be known and to know, to be held in the steadfast love of God and the deep love of one another. And think about it. So often when we see people acting in uncharacteristic ways or in harmful, self-harmful ways, again, how often is that they just want to be acknowledged, that they're there, that they're alive, to be known. It's a joy to recognize the moments when we are held in a loved one's attention And it is a joy to be attentive toward loved ones with the same kind of attention and connection. And again, that's one of the hard things that we've had, right, with COVID, because we haven't been able to physically be together, or at least to be able to hug together and show those physical touches that are so important to humans and to animals, really, right? I find myself resolving to do this, to connect more. Renee says, we need connection. We need moments of rejoicing. We need moments to return to ourselves, one another, the deep dreams of God. And then she ends with this. May we perceive people joyfully in their discoveries, in their element, in their vulnerability, and in their joys. And may we be seen, perceived, and known in these ways too. What now? Or now what? See the difference. I also would like to share a devotional by Reverend Fiwa Lengeni. And they begin Philippians 4:6. Do not worry about anything, but in everything, through prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And I really thought this was interesting. Maybe those of you who have the UCC devotional, maybe you've read this already. I apologize, but it's probably worth hearing a second time. But they talk about the word unprecedented. Unprecedented. A word that tastes sour after the year that recently ended and continues to seep into our now. Lake Superior State University included the word unprecedented on the 2021 banished words list. I didn't even know there was such a thing. For how it became the unwarranted refrain for a year full of unanticipated twists and turns. The reality is that all of life is a long series of unprecedented time units strung together. Last year was as unprecedented as the year before. Every single day of any future or any past year is unlike any others that you've ever experienced. In the face of overwhelming unprecedentedness that threatens to derail everything you know, rest, rehydrate, root yourself in prayer and gratitude. And again, just my insertion, when you do those things, aren't you much more likely to say, now what? Now what do we get to do together, God? Because if you're not rested and you're not rooted in prayer and in gratitude, that's when the overwhelming comes in, right? Now what? Reverend Fiwa continues, remember that the world already has a Savior and it isn't you. Request what you need from God. Return to the U-shaped work God needs you to do. If no one has said it to you recently or ever, you are loved. You are enough. You are doing your best, even as you're feeling at your worst. With God in every slice of time, we can and must faithfully re-precedent things at these unusual days, weeks, months, and years ahead. Indeed, God tends to be most active in those uncertain, liminal spaces. And again, talking about changing of attitude. God is most present in these unprecedented, to use the word, times. God tends to be most active in these uncertain spaces, she said. And again, how often have we all noticed that, right? When things are going well, we are doing fine, right? We did these things. Thank you, but I worked hard, and so I've got a good job, and I'm a good, parent, so my kids are doing okay, and we just have a tendency to just kind of feel like we're doing it. But then as soon as a roadblock comes, right? As soon as a pandemic comes, as soon as our kids don't make such a great choice, then suddenly we're like, you know what? Yeah, we did our best, but wow, this is all in God's hands, and it's God that made this beautiful child and gave this child to me as a gift. Or this job that I have that I try to work hard at, but you know what? The Lord gave me the skills to be able to do whatever the job is, whatever your job is. So again, it's a whole way of looking at things. You know, we've been using this image of hands, right? Does anybody think of, name the Broadway musical that there's a song that this is the image for? Anybody? Again, feel free to type it in the chat. There's a Broadway song, and this young boy holds out, right, his hands, and he says, please, I can't remember if he's talking to the woman or if I think he says, please, sir, I want more. Okay, I have a horrible English accent. I cannot do accents. Please, sir, I want more, please. I'm pleading with you, right? And I'm not grabbing what you give me, but I'm opening my hands, please, anything that you have. Isn't that I think, a beautiful prayer posture of, Lord, I'm opening my life to you, here it is, and I know that you're going to fill it. And I don't have to beg you. I don't have to say, please, can you, because I know that you are going to fill my hands overflowing with your goodness and with your love and your mercy. Thanks be to God for that. So I found this poem. This also actually came from my cousin Ed. This one is 2000. This was emailed to me. And it has an image of a teacup. So I've been drinking a lot of tea lately. I'm trying to get away from the sugar of hot chocolate. I'm not a coffee drinker. So I've been drinking a lot of tea. And actually, I would love to find a teacup just like this and a little saucer so I can sit there with my little pinky up. Maybe I can practice my British accent a little bit too as I'm sitting drinking my tea. But anyway, I've been drinking a lot of tea, and I gotta say that sometimes it actually does spill over accidentally onto my saucer. But now, you look at this image, and again, whatever beverage you're drinking, but let's go with tea. Think about that. That see how there's the beverages being poured in and poured in and poured in, and there's so much that it's overflowing that teacup, and it's getting caught in the saucer, so much so that you could drink from that saucer. There is so much tea, there's so much blessing being poured out to us. So I hope that you enjoy this reading before we join together in communion. This is called Drinking from My Saucer. I've never made a fortune, and it's probably too late now, but I don't worry about that much. I'm happy anyhow. And as I go along life's way, I'm reaping better than I sowed. I'm drinking from my saucer because my cup has overflowed. Haven't got a lot of riches, and sometimes the going's tough. But I've got loving ones around me, and that makes me rich enough. I thank God for his blessings and the mercies he's bestowed. I'm drinking from my saucer because my cup has overflowed. Oh, remember times when things went wrong, my faith wore somewhat thin. But all at once the dark clouds broke, the sun peeped through again. So Lord, help me to not gripe about the tough rows that I've hoed. I'm drinking from my saucer because my cup has overflowed. If God gives me strength and courage when the way goes steep and rough, I'll not ask for other blessings. I'm already blessed enough. And may I never be too busy to help others bear their loads. Then I'll keep drinking from my saucer because my cup has overflowed.